Welcome to Certain Point of View, your first step into a much nerdier world. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on iTunes. Just go to certainpov.com. Thanks. And now your hosts, Ben Milton and Addie Thomas.
Hey, Nerf Herders, I'm Addie Thomas.
And I am Ben Milton.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Certain Point of View. This is sort of our news and our regular show. We're going to be combining a whole bunch of stuff into this so that we can talk about, you know, everything that's going on in the nerd world, whatever media, like what our reactions to major stuff. We're going to make sure to let you know what has spoilers and what doesn't. Just so you know, some of the more spoiler side of the show is going to be saved for later on into the show. We'll make sure to give you warning. That's sort of the new development and format of what we're doing on Certain Point of View. But be sure to share this podcast with other friends and family, other nerds who would enjoy a podcast like this. CertainPOV.com is our website. You can find all the different ways to subscribe there, whether it's iTunes, on Android, or whatever your favorite podcast app, whether it's listening from your desktop. All of that is on our website, CertainPOV.com. Let's go ahead and get started with the news for this episode. So Hasbro is taking DC Comics and Warner Brothers to court over what they believe is an infringement over their Bumblebee trademark. Now, this development comes despite the fact that DC Comics created Karen Beecher, who's also known as Bumblebee, in 1977 in an issue of Teen Titans, and the Autobot Bumblebee didn't make his first appearance until 1983. However, it seems one of the key determining factors will be which company actually filed its trademark first, not which character was created first. Hasbro is specifically looking to halt the sale of all Bumblebee DC Superhero Girls toys, which are made by their rival Mattel.
Okay, I guess legally they have a leg to stand on because I guess DC didn't trademark in time for this type. But other than that, like, is anybody confused about the giant yellow robot Mustang that's in the bad Michael Bay movies against the girl superhero that's in DC Comics? Is anybody really confused about they're not the same thing?
Right.
Like,
I don't think so. I think, though, it comes down to the toy sales. Because the thing is, Bumblebee's never been a huge character. I remember seeing her in Young Justice as part of, you know, like sort of when they grew out the team. Like, it wasn't even the first season. It was the second season of Teen Titans. So she's basically a Wasp knockoff. So,
but that's where the lawsuit should be happening,
right?
Like, yeah, it's you know, when I heard like there was controversy about this DC character named Bumblebee, I was like, oh, is Marvel suing because of Wasp?
Right.
Like, that seems odd because they all have like analogs of each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Transformers? Why are you even involved? Like, this just goes to show, in my opinion, just how badly run Hasbro is. Like, you let Michael Bay create this whole Transformers world that everybody pretty much agrees is just a mess.
Yeah.
You know, and now you're doing this. Like, what? I don't know what's happening in Hasbro. I'm not impressed.
Well, and I think it's also odd because, you know, everyone's been talking about their own universes, and we've seen, obviously, you know, DC has been trying to start theirs. You know, coming back to movies, obviously, the monster universe, or the big monsters, obviously, not the other one, not the Universal monsters, because there's the Universal monsters.
You're talking about the kaiju.
Yeah, the kaiju one with you know, Godzilla and King Kong. That's actually gotten a little bit.
That's got some traction.
Yeah, it's got some traction. But Hasbro was one of the first of those groups to announce their universe with everything but Transformers. It was actually one of the ones I was a little bit more interested in seeing. And there's like no development or news on that front. I'm really kind of surprised with like what's holding them back here. And
I don't know. There's been some
Bay.
shakeups.
Yeah,
there's been some shakeups over there. I know a friend of mine no longer works. I had a good friend of mine who was the brand supervisor for Transformers.
Yeah. And
he no longer works there anymore. So I have to give him a call and see if I can get some insights.
Yeah,
he had an NDA.
I'm sure.
Because I asked him to come on the podcast, and he was like, especially after they announced the whole thing, like, we're gonna have this whole like Hasbro world with G.I. Joe and Transformers, and it's all gonna be mixed up. And I was like, what can you tell us? And he said, nothing. So maybe now that he's gone, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure he can still say nothing. I'm sure
he will. The guy's, yeah. I mean,
and he shouldn't. I mean,
no,
if he wants
had an
to be
NDA.
employable, I'm sure.
He's in a good spot now. He landed on his feet, but yeah, I don't know. It just seems like things are a little bit on rocky ground over there.
Yeah. So Ed Skrein, who you saw in Deadpool as Ajax the villain there, he was cast in the role, a supporting role in the new Hellboy reboot. He was cast in the role of Major Ben Damio, and he exited the project though after he realized the character for which he'd been cast was of mixed Asian heritage, and that his casting would have whitewashed the role. Skrein said in a statement posted to social media on Monday that he was unaware of his character's background when he accepted the part, but he was prompted to correct the situation after being informed. I know this is one that we're both kind of a little divided on.
I have, okay. I guess if you feel that strongly about identity politics, this is the right move.
It's funny because I'm not someone who is so motivated by identity politics, but especially after, I don't know, like there's one thing that does kind of annoy me, because stereotypes, like I think it's undeniable that stereotypes are formed but also feed into media. Like media reflects, but it also feeds into. It's not completely independent of our cultural perceptions, but it's not just an influencer. It is also influenced by. So it's not the guardian. It's not the thing that is going to determine everything. So making media responsible for everyone's identity and reflection of it is unrealistic for anybody who thinks that, everything is being whitewashed or whatever. Like I was fine with what they did with Doctor Strange and the Ancient One. Mm-hmm. But I also think they were backed into a corner, because if you go with the ancient Chinese, Asian,
then you're stereotyping.
One, you're doing stereotyping as well. You're kind of stuck there. And and I think the same thing was true of Iron Fist. Like, you make him Asian, it's like, oh, of course, an Asian who's good at martial arts. Like, you're kind of backed into a corner if you were to recast, like, suddenly, like, go in
suddenly Danny Rand is half Asian or something like that.
And I think half Asian would have probably been the best compromise for the publicity of it all. Well, before I get into this one, what are your sort of thoughts?
I mean,
this particular instance.
I think it's one of a couple of options. Like, you got to take him at his word. Yeah. He didn't know. He feels really strongly about it, and he decided to step out.
Yeah, and I respect him for that decision.
Sure, if you believe that strongly in it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to begrudge him if you want to turn down a bucket of money to, let some it's not. Here's the thing, though. He didn't make that choice to cast him. He wasn't like, hey, let's cast a white guy, and I'm going to be the white guy.
Right.
There's producers, directors, casting directors who all made the choice to cast this white guy in the role. They thought he was the best person for the role. Okay. Sure, they might be racist. They might not. Whatever. It doesn't really matter in this case, because they can cast whoever they want to in their movie. It seems a little virtue signal-y to me of like, hey, like this is the sniff I get of it. I have no reason in the world to believe this, but this is my gut instinct of like, things probably weren't working out for him on this shoot, and this was his way out.
Yeah. Well, it's so early though, because it was a week after he accepted the role, so there's no progress on a shoot.
He could have gotten another script across his desk that he was like, and they'll give me how much more money to do?
There was.
Gosh, I don't want to play the role of an Asian guy.
Right. Well, there was an uproar on like social media, especially Twitter, obviously, because Twitter is now the most politicized social media spot there is right now. So I think he definitely did it in reaction to it. One way or the other. I mean,
then good for him.
Yeah,
good for him. It's not going to stop the producers or the directors from recasting another white guy.
Well, I think at this point it means they're gonna cast an Asian guy. They're not like it'll look bad for them if they don't at this point.
I would, just out of spite.
Well, yeah, but you're a jerk.
It's true. I am.
But but what is your thought on sort of the roles? Like, okay, so I forgot the name of the movie, but the one where Emma Stone plays an Asian chick. And, like, the role is clearly for someone who's supposed to be Asian.
Are you talking about Ghost in the Shell?
No, you're thinking that's Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
There was some other movie. I forgot the name of it. Like the identity of the character as being Asian is actually like culturally important to her character. Okay. But they cast Emma Stone and they were just like, oh, she's half Asian or something.
Okay. Redheaded half Asian.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly right.
That makes sense.
So or like a movie like Prince of Persia. Can you honestly can you tell me that Jake Gyllenhaal is really like a guy who's gonna draw you to that movie when it's like in the title itself, the guy should be
Persian.
Yeah, or at least Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
I think it's a tough thing to be in. Like, so I'm of the perspective, like, I really liked the episode of Master of None, Aziz Ansari's show, like when they were kind of delving into those kind of stereotypes and trying to cast it, just sort of like the thought process that goes behind it. Because like I think he does like while he's definitely on the side of like, yeah, let's cast people of these ethnicities in this role, he does give like some good balance to sort of like what the other thought is, or like if suddenly like you have like this show and it's all like more than two black people, it suddenly becomes what is a black show all of a sudden. You know, it's an interesting thing that plays on both perception of a movie and a show and a product when you start casting more people outside of what we're used to. Like, what, I don't know.
It's hard for me, honestly, because I try not to get involved in identity politics. I just think it leads down a path that just leads to violence.
Yeah.
You know, so I try not to pay too close attention to it. I know people, and it's hard. Like, I'm a white guy. Like, I identify with Jake Gyllenhaal. When I see Jake Gyllenhaal on the screen, I go, oh, that could be me.
Yeah.
Like, so to say... And it's unfair. It is unfair to be like, oh, well, if there was a black guy on screen, I'd be like, oh, I don't identify with him. Well, that's not true either. Like, I can watch Wonder Woman and be like, she's a hero. I get what she's doing,
right.
You know, whatever. I'm not completely incapable of putting myself in other people's shoes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it leads to... I think ultimately this whole conversation just leads to arguments and frustration, and not that there's no place for social justice and that there's not any place for that discussion. I don't know how you can have that discussion in any other forum but in a bar drinking beers together.
Right.
Like, just where people aren't going to get, like, the social media is not the place for it. I don't even think that a podcast, like, just between you and me, because, like, you know, we can get into a slippery slope where then, like, all of a sudden my words are held against me or your words are held against you.
Yeah.
You know, and all of a sudden people get upset about it. It's such a weird conversation to have. It is.
And I think it's a conversation that's easier for me to have than you, just because anything you say can be like just used against you as, oh, well, he's a white male, an older white male, like,
not that older,
old white male, different generation white male.
Fair enough. I'll take that out. I'll take that out if it gets me out of this conversation.
But it's very easy to throw the race card in your face on this one. I think where I kind of draw the line on this, like, so I was watching an interesting video while researching this story, and we won't spend too much more time on this story, but it was interesting, like, you know, like, I do feel like if the story is written as, like, this is a character who is black or whatever, like cast him in that, like, there are enough people out there, there are actors out there that you can cast people in there. And yes, I know that you want, like, an A-lister to sometimes headline your movie, but the thing is, you'll never create A-listers of other ethnicities if we don't ever try.
Such a catch-22.
It is, but there's plenty of, like, there's someone has to have their first movie at some point.
For sure, but it doesn't have to be Prince of Persia, which cost like $70 million to make or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you like, I'm sorry, but we gotta have like a minor league team and bring those people up. Yeah. Through the ranks, and and then when I need a Denzel Washington, there he is.
Right.
But you don't give Denzel even you right out of the gate a $70 billion movie.
You don't think you can market a movie still effectively enough, even without?
It's nothing to do with marketing. It has to do with, can the guy actually act?
Well, no. The reason you attach an A-lister is because of marketing.
And because the guy can act, because he can actually bring an audience.
You
bring it for Okay, so for marketing purposes, let's say marketing purposes. Marketing purposes puts butts in seats.
Right.
An unknown entity doesn't put butts in seats.
Yeah, but isn't that sort of like a lazy approach to movie making? Like they're like.
Yes,
How big
I'm
was
not. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying that the risk goes up exponentially. For these people,
Absolutely.
and they're looking at this like the people who are the producers who are making this movie aren't looking at it from a social justice perspective.
Absolutely.
They're looking at it from the perspective of
money.
I'm putting $70 million on the line for this.
Yeah.
I'd like to at least break even.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to just put an unknown actor in there, it's a scary proposition just from a financial standpoint, man. And then I'm not saying that they can't do it and they shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm saying you got to realize this is still a business side of. There's a whole business side of this, and you just say, well, marketing can fix it. No, you have an A-list actor in Tom Cruise. The Mummy bombed.
Yeah, but that being said, the reason Tom Cruise is cast, the reason you get those A-listers is for the sake of marketing, not because they're good actors.
Yes, but still, it brings your point, though. Tom Cruise is an A-list actor.
Yeah.
That movie bombed.
Because it was a bad movie.
Agreed. But also, having an A-list actor, I don't know.
But I think that only helps
I guess it does.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm done with that. I don't.
Okay,
who cares?
Yeah.
If he wants to quit the movie, quit the movie. I mean, it's a free country. If you don't want to get paid, you don't have to work.
Yeah. Well, and this is what I was coming to. I do draw the line with this when I've heard roles written for a white person. Now we just intentionally start putting people of other ethnicities into it. I saw someone was commenting on the whole as some racial identity expert on all of this was like, well, when we get to the point where we have the reverse happening and having black people cast in the roles written for white people, then we have justice and Asian people written in casting the roles for a white person. It's just like, well, then what's the point of writing someone with that kind of character? That if you're gonna write culture into a character, then cast someone from that culture. But if not, then yes, they're interchangeable. It's weird that there is sort of a backlash to push it even further the other way. I don't know. It's sort of a weird agenda. That's where this, to me, that's the point where this gets messy for me. So. All right, so Disney and Lucasfilm have plans to bring Indiana Jones back for a 5th movie, and that's been on the books for a while. But those plans don't include Indy's son, Mutt Williams. The 5th and still untitled Indiana Jones movie does not have a script. Well, actually, it does. I'm sorry, it does have a script. Ford will be back as Jones, but Shia LaBeouf's Mutt is absent from the story. Screenwriter David Cope has also confirmed that Indiana Jones 5 will not be a prequel and is expected to star Harrison Ford again.
How? That's what I want to know. What's he gonna do? Escape from the old person's home? What is left for Harrison? I love Harrison Ford. I love Indiana Jones, but what are you gonna have this old guy do? He's almost 80. He broke his leg on the Star Wars set, just walking off the Millennium Falcon. What?
I thought a door fell on him or something.
Whatever. We all know what happened. He's an old person. He fell down. He couldn't get up.
Yeah, and he's been looking old. Even in Firewall, he was he felt old, and it was tough to watch.
It's not good. I'm not I love Indiana Jones.
I do too.
I'm not looking forward to this movie. I think this is a movie we don't need.
Yeah, I feel like movies like this. What, J. Mike? You want to play Indiana Jones? Oh, you're looking.
J-Mike's looking forward to Indiana Jones. You have to talk into a microphone. You can't just mumble over in a corner. Yeah, you can't just mumble
things. You're saying it's going to be like Last Crusade?
Yeah, where he's the old guy.
No.
Oh, see, that I could totally go with. But the problem is, who is the younger guy? You've already screwed up the whole story, with the son. First off, they needed... Shia LaBeouf was
that movie never happened.
Yeah. No, I feel
that's what they have to do. They just have to be he wakes up in a cold sweat and it's oh. Yeah. Oh, I thought I saw aliens or something stupid like that. I gotta take my medicine.
I was always on I always felt that Bradley Cooper should take over the role. Chris Pratt has been floated out there and would be, I think, good. He's not grumpy enough. I don't think he can. I don't know if he does. That
would be young. I mean, that would be like recasting Indiana Jones.
You're
saying J. Mike is saying that they should have somebody take over for Indiana.
Oh, so totally new casting,
a totally new character.
Yeah. Now, see, I am all for that. I am all for brand.
And then it stops being an Indiana Jones adventure.
No. Recast it like you would a Bond movie. Like, oh wait,
is that what you're saying?
I mean, like how, like,
Come here, talk into the microphone.
Yeah, seriously.
Jesus.
so like in the Last Crusade.
If you want to be on the show, we just need to get you another mic.
Like, remember how in the Last Crusade where he was out with his father?
Yeah.
And he was going to save his father, but he was there. So Indy
is
could be the
father.
old guy, and you could have someone come in and like help him out.
But it can't be his son anymore. It
No,
just
it's
has
his
to be
son.
someone
Doesn't
else.
exist.
Someone
He
he's
doesn't have
mentoring.
any sons. What are you talking about?
Yeah, just someone he's mentoring. That,
So-
okay, comes along.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then where do you like that? Okay.
To hand off to another character.
I don't
fine
think
with that.
I think it stops working after a while. The Indiana Jones thing stops working after a while.
Yeah.
As society progresses.
Yeah, I think it works well within, like, you put
In my notes, it's got to be Nazis.
Yeah, and it's not that you can't have other villains other than Nazis, because I mean, Temple of Doom works.
Yeah.
And they're no,
Yeah.
I mean, they're
I
Nazis
love
in the
Temple of
opening.
Doom. Yeah, I love Temple of Doom.
Yeah, Temple of Doom was my least favorite. It's no longer my least favorite, but it's still a very fun movie. And it's not to say that, like, you know, communists can't be the villain. You know, you can't, or Soviets, or you can't have like terrorists be the villain either. It's just, I think it does work for a young guy in it as a period sort of film, and I think it would be cool if they treat it the same way as they do Bond. Just recast. Let's get back to World War II or even before World War II. You know, and just kind of have fun archaeological adventures. Just have those fun swashbuckling adventures. It like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether or not they're Nazis or Soviets or, you know, Al Qaeda or whatever. It really just matters that he and someone else are rivals, kind of competing for the same prize, and one has, you know, the sort of noble, more academic intention, and the other has much more evil intentions for it. You really don't. It doesn't. I don't think it matters too much.
This just it stretches plausibility to have this old man gallivanting around the world fighting whomever.
Yeah.
Like I agree. I recast, reboot, do whatever you need to do. Love you, Harrison. You've had a great ride, but dude, you gotta stop crashing your planes into golf courses.
It happened once, man.
And you got no, it's happened twice.
Oh, has it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh.
And he just needs to stop like stepping into these roles that he made famous.
It's true. Well, yeah.
I mean, they're giving him
plenty of money.
They're giving him a bucket of cash. I don't blame him because he's probably got to pay to get those planes and those golf courses fixed, which has got to be expensive. But enough already.
Well, Super Mario has finally made some updates to his LinkedIn profile. We all think of Mario and Luigi as plumbers, but according to an updated profile on Nintendo's official site, Mario is now more of a freelancer, able to go and do as he pleases. His profile now reads, all around sporty, whether it's tennis or baseball, soccer or car racing, he does everything cool. As a matter of fact, he also seems to have worked as a plumber a long time ago.
Jesus, I don't even have a LinkedIn profile that's like remotely accurate. Are you kidding me? Who's going to LinkedIn to be like, check out Mario?
No, he doesn't have a LinkedIn profile.
Superman made some updates to it. That's what you just said.
That was just the headline. That was my way to like grab you. It's on the Nintendo official site.
Oh, that's lame. Who cares?
It's called being creative with your hosting, man, and with your leads. There's no
right.
real LinkedIn Super Mario profile.
No, I don't give a crap. Just like I didn't before. Screw it.
Such a Mario hater.
I don't like
Mario's biggest fan.
I don't like Nintendo games generally.
Yeah,
I just don't get. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get like the simple graphics and
the look.
It doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Lucasfilm Story Group currently will not allow any extended universe stories following the Battle of Jakku. At a Force Friday book launch event, author Claudia Gray revealed she'd like to do a sequel to Lost Stars, but that she'd have to wait until Story Group opens up the Star Wars universe past the Battle of Jakku.
I mean, you can't tip your hand. Like, I'm sure they
need to leave that era open.
Yeah. That's where they're playing in the movies, so they gotta, and that's like their really big story, so they gotta hold it tight. Like, what do you expect?
Do you think there's... I guess it also makes... I guess this is where, as Star Wars fans and our wild speculation and all the Snoke theorists and Rey's parents theorists and all of these people can have fun. But do you think there is going to be a Jakku connection to Snoke? It seems like there are rumors of something important on Jakku that might
Yeah, what was important on Jakku was Rey.
Well, not when the battle happened. She wasn't even.
Oh, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
And it sounds awful as a Star Wars fan, but I'm so over. Like, I just want to see the damn movie at this point. Like, I'm done speculating, and I'm done listening to the speculation.
I just want to see another trailer for this movie.
Right? Yeah. Like they've given us far too little for far too long.
Yeah.
Like we need something.
We need
something. Yeah.
Months away.
We should get a trailer quicker than months.
I would hope so.
We're in September.
Oh yeah. We're months away from the movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
We're in the home stretch.
We are. So Force Friday, we had their launch was last Friday. I guess the date was September 1st, of course. So lots of toys, and there's a huge list of toys. I watched I think Nerdist do their unboxing, and it was fun to watch. Any toys in particular that are sort of your favorites?
For me, like I'm not a toy because I have kids, so I don't get toys.
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but I don't want them to play with them and break them and ruin them.
Yeah, so you're waiting till they go on to college for you to start collecting toys?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we get Aiden Legos and stuff like that, but like the real cool collectible stuff we don't really delve into. But I was looking at the list, and holy smokes, those Executioner Troopers. The trooper with like the black patch over its eye, and it's got the battle axe thing.
Oh yeah. I thought you were talking about the Praetorian Guard.
No. The trooper caught my eye. That looks amazing. Now the Praetorian Guards look amazing too.
And it looks like they'll actually do stuff in this movie. Is what I'm hearing.
They give them weapons and stuff, which is more than the Imperial Guards had. They had a staff.
Yeah.
Like I guess when you're just standing there, you got to lean on something. So yeah,
Clean vents.
Yeah, I guess mop stuff. I don't know. The everybody looks wicked cool. Honestly, like all the new stuff that we're getting to see looks great.
Yeah.
Like I'm big into it. And then of course the VR.
Yeah.
Looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, the new VR, that's actually one I want to talk about a little bit more. This is because I remember following the ILM X Lab presentation from a couple years ago at Star Wars Celebration. I guess maybe it was 2 years ago. And I was disappointed they didn't stream their presentation this year at Celebration. I don't know if it got canceled. It originally was on the schedule to stream, but then it didn't. And they were talking about like a lot of the stuff that the thought process and development. Now a lot of stuff it'll be like, they're planning for stuff like 5-10 years down the road. They talked about David Goyer, who's written a lot of superhero movies over the past 2 decades, and actually even more. He is writing a Darth Vader story that is going to be specific to a VR storytelling experience and taking advantage of sort of this new storytelling medium and what you can do within it. But it's cool seeing some of the stuff they're releasing and playing around with, and this lightsaber challenge. It's like $200. So I guess you need whatever the glasses are.
The Oculus or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't think it's Oculus. It's whatever you can use with a smartphone. But it also has like a little beacon or something, and you can. Apparently, like everything I've read of anybody who's played around with it says the lightsaber fighting experience is epic, and like I think you fight Kylo Ren and Vader, and I think there are others too. I'm sure I hope they add missions to it or something. So that one I'm definitely really. I'm
curious about it.
Well, it's the first time I'm actually kind of excited about VR because I have had zero interest in anything VR. Yeah, I have. There's nothing that's made me interested until now, until this actually.
Okay.
So, there was no game release or anything that made me think that I wanted to grab like a VR headset. And then, of course, for me, the new Sphero toys. I've been wanting to get that Sphero BB-8 for a while.
Yeah.
I've seen the price like slowly decline on my Amazon wish list, and I'm just like, all right, waiting till it gets under 100.
Threshold.
Yeah. But so there's now they added BB-9E, who is sort of the Black Imperial version of BB-8, which they nicknamed apparently on the set of The Last Jedi BB-H8, so BB Hate, which would have been amazing if they made that.
They actually stuck with that.
Yeah, but and then there's also Sphero R2 as well. So like I can't afford getting 3 droids, obviously, that are just gonna start roaming the basement on their own.
I was looking at the one with the droid building, like the Build-A-Droid kit.
Yeah, that looked
pretty cool. I might get that for the kids and let
Yeah.
them play with that.
Yeah.
Teach Aiden electronics that way. That'd be fun.
And of course, any Porg related stuff.
No, not interested in
I know
porgs.
you aren't. I know you aren't.
Not interested. Like even like they have that picture of like Chewie sitting there with the porgs all around him and
Yes.
stuff, and I'm like,
It's on the kids' book, Chewie and the Porgs.
yeah, I'm not interested. Not interested in the porgs in the least. I know people are going crazy for them,
Yeah, it's Porg fever right now.
but I'm way more excited about Rebels coming back than I am about porgs.
And that leads perfectly into the next thing. So Rebels.
good for me.
Yeah, there you go. It's like you're a pro. It's like you can see this sort of sheet that has all our headlines laid out.
This time I wasn't looking at it though. This is amazing.
So, new trailer for Star Wars Rebels Season 4. Amazing trailer. New season premieres Monday on October 16th. We finally have a release date for it. Really excited about this. I'm assuming it's going to sort of follow the same release pattern they have for past seasons, so like half before Christmas and then half after. Well, what are your thoughts?
Follow that white Lothal rabbit, man. Let's see where it goes.
It feels like it's going dark. I'm obviously
Super dark.
I'm totally prepared that no one dies, and I'm totally prepared that everyone dies, and somewhere in between.
Yeah, I think it'll be somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Is if I had to just like guess, just based on like how much they're prepping us for. This is gonna go bad. This is gonna go bad.
And Filoni also doesn't seem afraid to take away major characters as well. He did it like he was good with like there were mature things happening in Clone Wars. There were characters that you did get attached to that died in Clone Wars. So I don't feel that kind of fear that they'll shy away because it's a kid's product or because it's so mainstream they want to keep everyone alive for the possibility of a spinoff or whatever. You know?
Yeah, I think they'll be done with the story. I mean,
Do you
I
think they'll
think
be completely done with these characters?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, we may get them in comic books and stuff like that, but I don't think you're going to get like a spin-off of like Kanan and Hera in the Rebellion or anything like that.
You don't think we'll see them in the same way maybe they treated like let's say Rex or Ahsoka?
For whatever they're doing next,
in someone else's story.
Maybe I'd like to see him move timelines, but who knows? I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
I'd be okay with it.
Where I would like to see it is, let's say, because I'd like to say it's like move into another period in the Galactic Civil War at some point. You know, maybe like between New Hope and Empire, or Empire and Jedi, or even post Jedi and whatever other battles you have there. And I'd like to see Hera again.
Would you?
Yeah, it's a character that I think has gotten a little bit of treatment, but she's never been the main character. They've given her a couple episodes here and there, but she's a character that I think is really cool and has really grown into a leadership role in the Rebellion. That I think, one, you don't have to do a whole lot of leaps for her character to make her still part of that rebellion. In a lot of ways, I would actually be really surprised if she walks away from the rebellion. In the way that, like, Kanan and her are kind of talking in this trailer of, like, you know, we can have a life outside of this cause.
Yeah.
It would seem really weird for the character if they took her out of that because she is so committed to this ideal and to this mission.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing her away from the rebellion.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time seeing Kanan surviving this season.
Yeah, I do too. Kanan surviving the series always seemed like an odd thing, but I wouldn't mind. But I still wouldn't have a problem with him sort of walking into the sunset away from everything, just choosing another path altogether. Like if he is sort of someone who embraces this idea of being sort of a gray Jedi or someone who walks away from the Order, and the
a la
conflict.
Ahsoka.
Yeah, well, even less so than Ahsoka, than a character that in the new Darth Vader comic is a great moment where Vader is having to get his new lightsaber, and surprise, he gets his new lightsaber, and he tracks down these guys who've taken this vow
to step out of the Jedi Order, and they're just sitting the sidelines.
And they sit on the sidelines. He's found this guy, he kills him. Really epic fight, really cool, like really like gives Vader a lot of like credibility again as a villain in a huge way. And what's cool is this guy's just been sitting it out. He's just not involved in really anything, but he's still quite a match for him. I'd like to see that. I wouldn't have a problem. I could see that end for Kanan. I could still see him dying on the battlefield, like it's or anything like that. But I could see him saying, you know what, my life isn't about the conflict in the galaxy. They're also
that's how he starts in the novel. That's where he is. That's where they find him.
That's true. So it'd be an odd place to take him back to, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
You
Come full circle.
You think you could see Ezra going to that direction?
Yeah, I see Ezra going that way. And as a result of Kanan dying for the conflict, him just saying, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to find another way.
Yeah, live a peaceful life.
Something, or find a different way to fight. This conflict.
That's true.
Because there was a lot of talk about that in the new trailer of like, this is the path, and are we on the right path, and is there another path, and all this stuff. So I think we'll see Ezra looking for a different path than Jedi, Sith, good, evil, like trying to find, like I think having what was the big elk thing in the sky, Bendu, having the Bendu introduced as sort of like a new way, a different path. I think will I think that opens the doors for Ezra, and we'll see what happens.
Well, here we're going to get into spoiler territory. We just came back from watching the Inhumans premiere, the IMAX event. IMAX worked with, Marvel TV, ABC Studios to fund these first 2 episodes in particular. And so it's about 90 minutes if you end up going to see it. It's not it's not 2 hours, got to factor in that there were going to be commercial breaks, and there's even like a fade at one point that was like, oh, and that's where the commercial's going to go. Yeah, that felt like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's, it's a weird experience watching a TV show in a movie theater. I will say that.
It doesn't quite work. Doesn't translate.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see. So apparently IMAX also does releases, like they've been doing like Game of Thrones, certain episodes like for a week-long release in theaters. Like apparently like some of the season finales over the past few years they've done that. And apparently this particular release is the most profitable like IMAX special event release for like ever, apparently. Better than their Game of Thrones finale.
This one that we just went and saw with like 6 other people.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but I guess, again, these special events aren't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So I think it seems like IMAX got its money back for what they put into it. So between that and there's only 6 more episodes after these 2, ABC, like despite the negative like critical reaction and fan reaction, might still have enough money for a second season of this. We'll see how that plays out. But honestly, and again, spoilers if you haven't, given you time to get away and turn this off. If you want to avoid spoilers, the quick version of this is didn't like it. I didn't think it was good. I saw potential.
Yeah, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Its start.
Yeah. Just real rocky, kind of uneven, unsure where it's going. It's got some big ambitions, some big ideas, but ultimately kind of falls flat, and you're just kind of like, man, I don't really give a shit about any of these people. I like a couple of them, but I don't love anybody, and not enough where I'm like, oh, I got to tune in next week. Like, to me, it feels like I'll wait till the season's over, catch all 6 episodes in a quick binge, and see if it's worth a second season.
I was a little bit more, even with like the very rough start to the beginning of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I was definitely a little bit more into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. than I was into this. I think that's because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was new to us at that point in time. Now we've got Arrow, we've got Supergirl, we've got Flash, we've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we've got Legion, we've got but we've got like 17 other TV shows that that we've seen. But so to have a show come out with like an uneven start is kind of like, yeah, but I think that's also, you have to take all that into account, like what's the current landscape in superhero storytelling. You can't divorce it from its environment. And I feel this is a series, because it's interesting, because originally Inhumans was supposed to be a movie, and then TV show, and now you're watching a TV show in a movie theater. So it's a very interesting experience all around. And I like as far as a TV budget, like understanding that this is a TV show, I actually didn't have too much of a problem with the effects.
No, not really.
It's because
they fixed the problem, the biggest effects problem that they have, which was Medusa's hair.
Yeah,
they solved that with plot, which was the smartest thing they could possibly do.
Yeah, very very quickly needed to move forward, which was I think that is smart, but could also hurt them as time goes on. I would have liked. There's sort of like two scenarios I kept thinking as I was watching this show, because it's not well written, but there is, like, you can see the concept of this show is interesting, and it fills a space in superhero storytelling that hasn't been filled yet. Sort of that royal family vying for control, like that power struggle type of thing, is an interesting story. Like, yes, we already have Game of Thrones. So and of course, having a Game of Thrones alum and a very memorable one on as the villain is already going to invite that. So in some ways, I kind of wish they waited till after Game of Thrones was done to go into this. I
don't mind that. I mean, people got to work. I don't think it hurt. I don't think it hurts it. You think it hurts it?
I think it can.
I don't feel like it hurts it. I think the bad writing hurts it.
Yeah, bad writing is the worst part. Yeah,
Scott Buck hurts it.
Yeah, and Scott Buck definitely hurts it.
That's what hurts it. Like,
what do you think of casting in this show?
I thought the casting was good.
Yeah,
I thought the casting was good.
Yeah.
I thought I don't like the Inhumans.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I don't like Black Bolt. I don't like Medusa. There's nobody there that I like.
Yeah, I feel there's sort of two scenarios I see with this show. I wish that if it was a TV show that they spun it out of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. somehow. Like, you already have the Inhumans on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It feels like there's a bridge there that you can build. In the same way that Arrow spinned off the Flash, just have a couple episodes or an arc where they're crossing the royal family, so that you have your already existing characters you like, that can help bridge as you're introducing these new characters, so you can have some time to kind of warm up to the concept. And they've introduced the concept of Terrigenesis and sort of like what it can do and what it means to the Inhumans. Like, it is also, like, I feel like the framework for that storytelling is there. And it's an odd choice to just try to launch it on its own. Or I think what this series really deserved was a movie. And a big movie with a big budget to really make it cool, to really make the whole, like, oh, we're a hidden city on the moon, and, like, really out there. Like, this, it feels like a TV set, and it's fine for a TV budget. But it would have been cool to see, like, really cool, like, weird and interesting creatures and mutations, instead of, like, a guy wearing a mask that looks like a bad tan in the crowd. Like, here's
the thing that you said.
Yeah.
Mutations.
Yeah.
They're not the X-Men. That's what we really want to see.
Yeah, it is.
I don't blame them for not putting a ton of money into the Inhumans. They've never been a big seller. They've never been hugely popular.
It's true.
You're not, like, why would you, again, going back to the whole financial aspect of the business of entertainment, why would you spend $70 million on a movie that probably isn't going to do great?
Let's just remember, though, this is the same company that brought us Guardians of the Galaxy.
Fair enough.
Never had a huge following.
Enough. But that doesn't mean that you can do it every single time.
Absolutely. And I agree with you, but it doesn't mean that they don't. Marvel has built up enough brand credibility to take a risk with Inhumans.
And they decided not to. That's how little they believe in them. Think about that.
Do you think that was so much of a case of... It's a very interesting path that this franchise has taken, just because, like, we've had rumors of, like, them trying to get the X-Men back, plus the way Marvel TV and and the MCU kind of works together seems like it has a weird relationship, and it feels like at some point they kind of just said, all right, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you can have the Inhumans and that name, and it seems like at that point, that's when officially there weren't any more plans for an Inhumans movie.
Maybe.
So it felt like once they did that, that was the end of any possibility for a movie, and that kind of being able to treat that series with that kind of budget.
Yeah, well, it also becomes a financial problem.
Yeah.
You know, like your movie actors traditionally get paid a shit ton more money than TV actors.
Absolutely.
So now you're having them cross over, so you got to pay them both.
Yeah.
Like it becomes just a financial headache to have those characters crossing back and forth between TVs and movies.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think they believe a lot in the Inhumans.
Yeah.
I think they're a placeholder until they can figure out how to get the X-Men back.
Right.
Honestly,
if they ever do,
yeah. And they may not. But even in their comic books, like they're using them as a placeholder.
Yeah.
Until they can figure this out. So I don't know. It has potential. There's some interesting things there. It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be based on people's reaction to it.
Yeah.
Like there's some real cringe-worthy moments. Some real cringe-worthy moments. But, you know, ABC television, pretty much all of them have cringe-worthy moments. Like, I get that. I think you just have to lower your bar of expectation. I think it's Season 1, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Let's see what happens in 6 episodes.
I'm going to watch the rest of the first season. I gave even Gotham the whole first season before I said I don't want to watch this.
Yeah, and luckily, if it's only 6, there's only 6 or 8 episodes.
8 total.
8 total episodes, and the first 2 are what we saw tonight.
Yeah.
So we only have to sit through 6 more. I could do that.
Yeah.
I can do that.
All right. Well, let us know what you think of the Inhumans or Star Wars Rebels. Or what's your favorite Force Friday toy that's coming out? All of that you can check out. You can get in touch with us. All our social media you can find on our website, certainpov.com. While you're there, be sure share the podcast with other nerdy friends who'd enjoy this podcast, certainpov.com. And until next week, stay scruffy, my nerdferders.
Thanks for listening to Certain Point of View. Don't miss an episode. Just subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on iTunes. Head over to certainpov.com.